Hello everybody, this is Havoc, back with more Shadow and the Blade DLC for Warhammer 2. Today I'll be going over Deathmaster Snikch's starting campaign position inside the Eye of the Vortex campaign. We'll look at his first few moves, go into the mechanics, tech tree, dabble in skills and some ideas on progression, with some tips and tricks in there as well. Thanks again to Creative Assembly for giving this channel early access. Let's dive in. Beginning with faction effects, we can see a breakdown of Clan Eshin's campaign. Snikch will have access to shadowy dealings, which we'll get into on the campaign map. Recruitment is a massive 200% more for non-Clan Eshin units, but luckily money is something you shouldn't really have to worry about early on. One of the best benefits for me is clan loyalty. Clan Eshin lords will never defect, meaning you won't need to cater to their playstyles quite so strictly as with other races. The last Clan Eshin effect is that Night Runners and Gutter Runners will use armor-piercing warp-infused projectiles, relevant considering who's south of your start position. With Night Runners and Gutter Runners able to fire whilst moving, this deadly combo will be a favorite for a lot of players. Snikch, being a master assassin and all, will receive a 25% bonus to ambush success, plus 8 melee attack for his embedded heroes, and the ability to use concealment bombs, basically some warp smoke bombs that can hide him until units are basically on top of him. We'll talk about the starting units on the campaign map as well. It's turn 1 in Snikch's campaign, and we're going to sit here a while to go over Snikch's campaign setup. First off, let's take a look at where we are on the map. Snikch starts in the land of the Dervishes in Araby. As you can see, he's surrounded, and not by friendlies. At war with Sudenburg from the start, the first thing to do is take control of the province, with your first few missions steering you towards that anyways. There's a handful of things to do before you even get to fighting Sudenburg in front of you. For starters, we're going to put Zapspark, your Eshin sorcerer, into Snikch's army for the upcoming battle. And before you go and fight that battle, you have a chance to level up Snikch right off the bat through the shadowy dealings. Shadowy dealings are broken up into two sections. The first are Eshin actions. These require schemes, located on the bar at the top of your screen. Eshin actions require an action to be selected on the left, the agent you want to use from the right, and a target settlement. Hit confirm and the result is immediate and always successful. Here's your first tip. Always use Snikch and Snikch alone for these actions. Why? He levels up every time he completes one of these, allowing you to quickly boost his levels. Then you wait for the scheme timer to reset, or by giving up 20 food, you can instantly reset it. To unlock more schemes, hit the top action, spawning a boss army which you'll need to defeat, not destroy, in order to get that next scheme. In the late game, you could in theory level up Snikch close to 7 or 8 times in quick succession in one turn, just by doing these actions. So what about clan contracts? Well, I'm glad you asked. You will periodically receive contracts from various clans to perform acts of sabotage against other clans. Carrying out these contracts will boost the reputation with that clan, in turn boosting diplo relations of said clan, while dropping relations with the faction you sabotaged. You'll also get bonuses or penalties to campaign effects and units for each faction. Deciding which clan to boost or not is completely up to your playstyle. I'd focus on a couple to get you to the top, where you'll basically get stupidly cheap or even free units by the late game. You can check your reputation with the various clans quickly at the flags on the right side of the central UI bar. The kicker about clan contracts is that the agent you choose to complete these with will be out of commission for a few turns, only resulting in 1 level up from the experience. With this in mind, it'd be best if you just dedicated a couple of agents specifically for these contracts so you aren't constantly replacing lords or army dedicated agents off the campaign map for several turns. Back to Snikch, perform an Eshin action before engaging the enemy. I chose Burglarize, which will give me a pretty decent ancillary to use in my first battle. I'll level up Snikch's Route Marcher so I can reach just a bit further to grab those other 2 cities early. Your army is your standard mix of Scave and regular units and all 3 of your starters. Eshin triads have venom-dipped spears that decimate armor, are therefore armor-piercing, can remain largely unseen with stealth, and are anti-large. They'll be handy in almost any fight. Warp grinders can drill through walls, but are also armor-piercing with a massive amount of weapon damage. Their low numbers make them a bit of a glass cannon though, so make sure they're partnered with other units for support. What makes them very handy is their two abilities. Seismic Snare will trap any units in its AoE, while Warp Quake will produce mini earthquakes with a chance to do a sizable amount of damage. Use these rats and a bottlenecks for maximum effect, and I've seen them get at least a couple of hundred kills from a single use. Last of your starter are your Gutter Runners, and just so you know, I will be using Gutter Runners and Night Runners throughout this video because they're just that daggum good. These units can fire while it's moving, they have stock, and they can deploy nets to slow down enemies that get too close. Having a mobile ranged unit like this will be immensely helpful in your campaign. Once you're victorious, wipe that army out completely or he'll cause hell for you fairly quickly. And with that battle out of the way, I'm going to level up Snikch again with Slippery and Inspiring Presence, boosting his melee defense and speed while increasing his aura effects. My Eshin Sorcerer also leveled up, and I'll grab both those levels of Warp Stars, which are excellent at wrecking lords and agents. Back in El Calabad, building a hidden lair will allow me to recruit assassin agents and get Night Runners up and running too. I'm going to ignore tech and skills for later in the video so I can explain progression, and finally I'll go ahead and start a new army. I've got tons of money after all, and I'll need a head start on recruiting a big enough army to take down Sudenburg's main settlement in the next handful of turns. By turn 5 on this campaign, I've been able to secure the entire starting province, choosing to build a Rattling Warrens, which fulfills one of my current quests, as well as unlocking a new research branch. Sacking Sudenburg brought in a good chunk of change, and completing the missions to destroy Sudenburg and kill 1,000 men have netted me close to 5,000 gold when all is said and done. Snikch is now at level 6, where I've invested a bit more into his campaign effects and character stats, making him just a bit more deadlier in battle. He is still a bit of a glass cannon, able to do a lot of damage, but with little armor and low health, he can lose on the battlefield pretty quick. Zapspark is leveled up too, and I'm dumping my skills into his magic since he's going to stay in my army for a while. With the province secured and no one else at war with me currently, I have some leeway into which direction I want to go, as well as a clan contract to consider. If I zoom out onto the map, you'll see that I'm surrounded by Tomb Kings to my west, east, and south, with dwarves in the north-northwest and lizardmen even further south than the Tomb Kings. The idea of taking on dwarves this early isn't really a pleasant thought for me, so I'm going to ignore them completely, but decide still to head west to take on the followers of the Gash. They're the weakest of the Tomb Kings currently, and to be completely honest, I want the Land of Assassins province since we are playing with the Master Assassin himself. Heading over to El Calabad, I've recruited an assassin, Ido Auditore, fulfilling a mission in the process. This Italian rat will be my contractor, so let's see what we have available. We only have one contract currently from Clan Pestilence against Clan Molder. Clan Molder only benefits rat ogres and hell pit abominations, something I'm not interested in currently, so pissing them off isn't really a concern of mine. And as you can see, I'll get food and money by completing the contract, and the assassin disappears to do his dirty work off the map. This contract now establishes campaign map relations with Clan Pestilence, level 2 contracts through them, and minus 50% cost for plague months and catapults. Not too shabby. To quickly end this turn, I'll add some Gutter Runner infantry into my second army so I can head west and take on the Tomb Kings. I'll also let you see something I absolutely love about the new build: insanely fast turn times. Even when testing out on the Mortal Empires campaign, I was able to pull through an end turn in less than 30 seconds, which is absolute bliss. It's when you get past securing your first province that your individual playstyles will start to digress, and it's time to get into the details of progression. For these sections, I'm focusing more on your early game, staying around 30 to 50 turns worth of progression in this various fields. Starting with expansion, conquering West really has its most advantages, namely access to more ports and potential to meet more factions. You'll meet Bretonnians on your roundup, including the newly announced Rapants. But to me, fighting humans is still almost easier than Tomb Kings, especially with armor-piercing Gutter and Night Runners. You could then circle around the mountains, ending up back on your home turf before choosing to expand south. Taking on dwarves isn't the smartest idea, but what you could do instead is establish under empires and their settlements through your heroes to glean some money off them. As long as you don't take action against them that are visible, I don't think they'll get pissed off enough to declare war. If going west isn't your thing, you can take off southeast, but the fighting will be a bit harder. The south of that are a hodgepodge of lizardmen and orcs, with another Skaven clan at the southern tip looking to push to their north. It's definitely a more volatile region, but it could be profitable to actually conquer or develop more under-empires. Lizardmen shouldn't be too much of a fight, as you can easily kite their slower armies with your runners. In the field of building progression, I'm definitely nowhere near an expert in Warhammer 2, meaning this section will be extremely short. I will say this for Clan Eshin. Developing your hidden lair and your weapons dumps will get you access to Clan Eshin special units, which are going to be significantly cheaper than non-Eshin units. I'd also keep an arcane generator in every main settlement, since that 30% income bonus can help out your financial state immensely as time goes on. Beyond that, anyone watching this video probably knows more than me. For army builds, spamming knight and gutter runners may sound cheesy, but having taken on several different factions using a majority of these two units, I can say with confidence that if you know how to kite your enemy, these are the types of units you want. The ability to shoot while firing cannot be ignored nor taken lightly with both runners, and their slinger variants, while unable to fire while moving, have twice the range and twice the ammo. You can kite and shoot, while your stationary slingers shoot them some more. There's also recruitment cost to think about. While these two sets of units are definitely expensive, a single unit of warp fire throwers costs 2,000 gold, meaning you could field 3 gutter runners or 5 night runners instead. For the early game, you could just spam the runners, and then later when reputation is high with other clans, recruit more variety with that reduced recruitment cost. With the heavy emphasis on how useful gutter and night runners are, it's going to affect your tech progression as well. Having to go into devious plans by default, if you're going to follow my advice on the runners, then you'll want to do intensive training, giving you +2 recruitment rank for both types of units, then abduct promising candidates to reduce upkeep and recruitment cost of said units. Once you're done there, hit and run will make those units faster, meaning your kite game will be even greater than it was. The other branches do have some benefits depending on your playstyle. Ferocious Plans focuses on clan rats and Skaven slaves, leading into your monsters and weapon teams units. Ruthless Plans has both campaign and unit bonuses across a range of effects. And they'll all definitely cater to those different playstyles, but seriously, just go with the runners, you won't regret it. That first paragraph on getting your gutters and night runners up and running will soak up about 30 turns of your campaign in terms of tech turns, and then by then you'll have a significantly cheaper and more powerful force of runner units to scurry about and wreck your enemies. Lastly, we are going to take a look at Snikch's skills to give you an idea on how you might want to use him. Remember that while the Deathmaster can be one destructive little assassin rat, he's also pretty fragile. He won't hold out an extensive melee, so you'll want to use him to attack quickly, then run off to attack something else. You'll get Whirl of Weeping Blade and Cloak of Shadows in your first few turns, making Snikch massively better already, with increased damage and melee defense. You can play the rest of Snikch's skills in 2 ways, offensive or defensive. Unlock skills that boost his attack, so skills like Blade Master, Wound Maker, and Verminous Valor, or those that favor his army's attacks such as Infiltrator, reducing reload time for Knight and Gutter Runners, and Gutterwise, increasing speed, range, and leadership for those 2 sets of units once they reach rank 7 or higher. The idea here is to wreck enemy armies so fast that they don't have time to take on the Deathmaster and kill him. However, you do have more skill options in developing defensive capabilities. Through Sneaky, Tricksy, or Slippery, Thick-Skinned, Scarred Veteran, and Blade Shield. Every one of these skills either increases health or increases melee defense and resistance. Make Snikch able to just soak up melee defense so he simply just doesn't lose his health that easily. That's the plan. There's benefits in taking on the entirety of the Jump Scare branch, available at level 8. Getting Jump Scare will provide enemy defensive penalties in ambush battles, which will happen almost every single time. Contract Loopholes reduces upkeep by 25% in Snikch's army. Unlocking Sabotage and Unrest is immensely helpful as well, causing siege attrition almost immediately for the enemy while also reducing public order. There's a lot you can do with the Deathmaster, so let me know what you think you'll do with them in the comments below. Diplomacy-wise, in my one playthrough to turn 60-ish, I maybe had the ability to trade with 2 other Skaven clans. Not many factions like the Skaven, so the likelihood of diplomacy was very small indeed, Not much else to elaborate on that with that one. And that is it for Deathmaster Snikch's campaign guide. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I also hope that this is helpful to get your campaign off the ground. Leave any comments in the comment section below, as well as subscribe to the channel if you're looking for more content like this one. Check out my Patreon for ways to get involved. I'll be throwing a video vote up there for next Thursday's video to the available patrons. Stick with the channel for all things Total War and strategy. This is Havoc, and I'm out of here.